Dragon Ball Z fans have always wanted to know the upper limits of Goku's destructive capabilities. Today, we'll take a closer look at the real science and do our best to make some educated scaling guesses for Goku based on the information that we know and already have. Before we begin, check out this idea that Goku and Majin Buu were universe tier during the Z Saga. This is totally just a fan-made headcanon thing that biased groups online have been saying since the late 90s. Trust me, I was there in the late 90s. Yeah, I'm that old. As someone with a background in science and physics, I want to relay the real science to you and what it would require to destroy a moon, the Earth, a star the size of our own sun, and a galaxy, and lastly, the universe. We know that Roshi, with a power level of 140, can wipe the moon out and cause it to explode. However, that's not a vaporization tier feat. 140 is enough to cause the moon to fly apart in small pieces, but won't be enough to vaporize it to dust. It's a common misconception that a power level of 10,000 is required to destroy a planet. This is technically true and also not true depending on the context. Let me debunk some myths first. King Vegeta didn't blow up any planet. This scene is entirely metaphorical for him destroying the hope of the galaxy and dominating the civilizations that the Saiyans were already taking over. This scene isn't possible to begin with. 3 planets can't exist that close together without their gravity pulling them closer and destroying all 3 in a blaze of glory. Next, we see that this scene didn't even happen because that's adult Vegeta standing next to his dad, floating in space. But Vegeta was a child during this time period, and this is a metaphoric thing for the power of the Saiyans and their control and dominance over the galaxy. Also, King Vegeta destroying the planet that he and his team were standing on is quite silly, because none of them can breathe in space anyway and will die instantly from the heat of the planet's explosion. And also beyond that, right afterwards, Frieza is shown to be bigger than a planet. This scene is not really taking place, it's entirely metaphoric. Another myth, that Goku and Vegeta, even in their god form, are heat tolerant. Such is not the case. The explosion of the Earth would rate around 1.3 billion degrees Fahrenheit, and we've seen that Magetta's steam was too much for Vegeta to handle in the tournament. So we also see that Frieza blowing up the planet was enough to kill Vegeta and vaporize him on contact. This has nothing to do with energy values of the explosion, but rather the heat of the explosion. I really don't get where people got this, but Vegeta died from no air in space. Goku was 5 feet away from him, and so was Whis. Vegeta knows that Goku can move really fast and teleport them all to Otherworld, or another planet that has air, yet this didn't happen. It didn't happen because Vegeta was no longer there to join the teleport party to safety. He got cooked. So taking into account the density of the Earth, which calculators exist online to accurately gauge the volume, density, and gravity that holds a planet together, we've seen that a power level of 10,000 can wipe the Earth out, but so can 140. Roshi's Moonbuster will kill every living thing on Earth very easily, because the moon is about the size of Australia and comparable to the United States in size. Imagine an energy blast capable of one-shotting the entire continent. That blast wave will circle the entire Earth and wipe all life from the surface, but it's not enough to totally destroy the Earth. The only way this works is to burrow into the core, like Frieza always does, and exactly how Vegeta did it when he was destroying planet Aurelia. That energy beam took forever to get to the planet from space, and then burrowed into the core and exploded from the inside out. This is also reflective of how Frieza did it in the Namek Saga, and also in Resurrection of F. So we know that a power level of 140 is a moonbuster, and 10,000 is sufficient to bust a planet level. But using these density and gravity joules calculators and yield calculators, we see that vaporizing a planet requires a power level of 256,000. First form Frieza has roughly double this power level, and I want you to understand my viewpoint here that the DBZ writers back in the day already knew this and made power levels reflective of all of this that I'm saying right now. It just so happens that Frieza's weakest form is double the power level exactly required to vaporize the planet the size of the Earth. It's not coincidence. They did the math and made sure to have at least a double the power level character required to perform this feat in the first place. So I get that a lot of bad scalars out there. The really toxic ones have no study in basic science or physics, so let me try to educate you as best I can on this. Many scalars and DBZ enthusiasts are missing an important factor in the math required to discuss this topic. How much energy is required to cause parts of the Earth and the Sun to explode away from each other and its center point? This is often entirely overlooked, and most, if not all, of the calculations I've ever seen on this are only about what energy is required to destroy the mass of the Sun, or what the mass of the Earth is, which is about 330,000 times more than the Earth. So we can calculate this value very easily, so let's ignore calculations for overcoming the gravity entirely and just run with the mass differential. If a power level of 256,000 is required to destroy a planet the size of the Earth, then you multiply this value by 330,000, and that's the power level required to destroy our Sun. That comes out to about 84 billion. Super Saiyan 1 Goku during the Frieza fight had a power level of around 150 million. He would need to be 563 times as powerful to destroy the Sun. So the calculations don't really lie and do really tell the tale of just how far off Super Saiyan 1 Goku is from destroying a star. And look, Perfect Cell is not a 500x the strength that Goku was during the Frieza fight. We know this because Vegeta says it's pretty much useless for them to train for a full year in the time chamber in the Super Arc, and that it won't change their power level too much to matter. They don't increase their power levels by hundreds of times. Just remember that Goku only went from 400 to 8,000 after a full year of excessively god training with King Kai. That's only about 20 times, and it's directly because he was dead, and he got a Zenkai boost, and because his training was special with King Kai, who helped him do it right. 500 plus is a stretch, and it's just not valid. So, you think 500 is a lot, right? Well, that's nothing. That's just based on if the Sun was totally static and had the same gravitational hold as the Earth, but it doesn't. It's so massively beyond that it's not even fair to compare. Using the same gravity and celestial object calculator that gives up the required joule energy to destroy object, we go from a 256 power level requirement to destroy the Earth, with all the holding gravity has on the parts of the planet, to 806 trillion for the Sun. Destroying the Sun requires 3.1 billion times the power to destroy the Earth. If Goku's Super Saiyan 1 power level is 150 million, he needs to increase his power level by 5.3 million times. Does anyone believe that Super Saiyan 2 Goku, or Perfect Cell, or Kid Buu, or Buhan is 5.3 million times the power level of Super Saiyan 1 Goku? The answer is, of course, nobody believes that for real. And this is just for the Sun, by the way. This definitively proves that nobody in the DBZ arc and up to the end of the Majin Buu saga has the power to destroy a Sun, not even Buu. Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Buhan, Mystic Gohan, none of these characters are 5.3 million times the power of Goku during the Super Saiyan 1 Frieza fight. So what about a galaxy? Well, let's take a look first at Broly. Broly never destroyed the South Galaxy. This is another foreshadowing event like King Vegeta's, and is meant to show his destruction of planets in the South Galaxy. We even get a scene of him taking out star systems one by one, and this movie takes place in the South Galaxy. So I don't want to hear any of this nonsense that he wiped it out completely. The movie shows us a blue star is about to consume this planet in the South Galaxy. So Broly gets a huge Zenkai, and movie 10 happens, where Super Saiyan 2 Gohan plus Super Saiyan 1 Goten plus Super Saiyan 1 Goku with 7 years of otherworld training all combined and didn't damage Broly in the slightest. However, the Sun did. Remember also, Cooler was vaporized by a sun, but Bro is kind of heat tolerant as an alien whose entire family and race is named after cold things. It's logical because he's an alien and also his race to imply that he has some resistance to heat. Proven also during the Frieza blasting planets thing that happened a few times. 1.3 billion degrees isn't enough to kill anyone in his family. Don't do this "it's not canon" BS thing with me. There are no rules in scaling non-canon things. Non-canon Broly is stronger than Gohan, Goten, and Goku combined and would one-shot any regular Super Saiyan 2 from the main canon series, would absolutely rinse Super Saiyan 1 Goku and Frieza and maybe even Perfect Cell. If you ask me, Perfect Cell and Movie 10 Broly are roughly on par with each other. Stop with the BS non-canon justification. Everything is canon to DB, and you know that this Broly would rinse the main timeline Goku at this point in the history. You have brains, use it. 306 trillion for a star. There's about 200 billion stars in the galaxy. That requires a 304 septillion power level. So for you brain rots out there that think Super Saiyan 1 and Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3 Goku can vaporize a galaxy, just look at that number over what a star is and realize how wrong the fans were this entire time. If you read the Moro arc, Whis states that Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku is going to die from a galaxy-level explosion from Moro. I don't want to hear about this AP durability counter BS either. Moro was clapping Goku here and blitzing him, manhandling him after he absorbed the severed hand. However, his own swelling of power was going to kill himself and also Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku on contact. Whis says that this would potentially wipe out the galaxy too, and it wasn't even for certain. So, do you want a solid, educated guess on Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku's power level? It's around 300 septillion, likely a bit less than that since it would kill him, or at least it would be if Dragon Ball galaxies were the same size as the 100,000 light-year wide size of the Milky Way galaxy that we live in. Sadly, they're about 9.9 light years across, and we know this because of Poco's test flight during the Namek saga, clocking at 519 times light speed and traveling for 7 days. That maths out to about 9.9 light years or so. Since there's 4 galaxies, multiply 9.9 by 4, and that's the size of the mortal realm in the Dragon Ball cosmology. So divide 304 septillion by 100, and you get 3 septillion. This is a rough estimate of Goku in Mastered Ultra Instinct form's power level. What about the observable universe? That's 90 to 110 billion light years in size. That would mean Goku's power level would have to up itself to 2.4 duodecillion, a number so big I can't type it here. Listen and listen good. Buhan does not have a power level of 2.4 duodecillion, a number with 39 zeros after it. Nobody does. Even Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku is looming around 3 septillion, and that's for galaxies that are only about 10 light years in size. These power levels are actually the only accurate ones you're ever gonna see online, and if someone else did them as I did, please link me in the comments or on my own Discord so I can go thank them for getting it right too. It's a myth that Buhan could destroy the universe. He said it was destroying the bridges that connect the universe to the exterior container, and that exterior container was going to collapse and crush the universe. Whis is not a liar. Whis is the series' exposition and fact giver. If he says less than galaxy tier explosions will kill Goku, then that's what the answer is. The problem is that the galaxy is only about 9.9 light years across. This is going to upset a lot of people, but listen, Akira Toriyama had memory issues and wanted to make the DB cosmology very small and tiny so he can remember all of the elements of it way easier. This is why Supreme Kai said there's only 28 complex life worlds in the entire Universe 7. The Dragon Ball cosmology is very, very small.